Good morning, everybody, and it's a Monday morning, and it's January 25th. Today we are continuing our journey through the 20th chapter of Luke's Gospel. We're going to take off just a little bit of a bite today. We're only going to look at verses 41 to 44, and tomorrow we'll finish the chapter up. It'll be another small bite tomorrow, but that's okay. We'll ease into the week, as they say. So today we have to remember that we are finishing up from, or continuing on from where Jesus has been queried them, and we talked about on Saturday morning, or they queried Jesus, rather, the Sadducees, about the resurrection and those seven brothers and that one bride, and the whole thing about what the resurrection is like and all of that. And prior to that, of course, Jesus had been questioned about the taxes, and he stymied them with both of those two queries that they had for him. And it's almost kind of like today, he's like, and then, the final twist of the knife, or whatever you want to lock it down, so that they don't bother him anymore, with this question about David's son. And it is understandable. I will point out that it's understandable that the Pharisees and the Sadducees and whatnot. Actually, this is probably the Sadducees, because he's talking to the Sadducees just prior to this. But the others are all around, probably around, listening in. But it's understandable if they're confused, because they didn't have the benefit, as we do, of being, well, at least us older folks, being familiar with Ray Stevens' wonderful song, "I Am My Own Grandpa," which explains to us in a relationship stuff. Well, that, just an aside, that has nothing to do with Christ, but it is a fun little ditty, and you might want to go, if you don't know it, go look at it at YouTube. It's fun. "I Am My Own Grandpa" by Ray Stevens. Which is a twisted tale, which is sort of kind of what's going on here. But what we have here, again, is verses 41 to 44, the question about David's son. So let's jump right in, and we'll get this devotion down. Then he said to them, "How can you say that the Messiah is David's son? For David himself says in the book of Psalms, 'The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool.' David thus calls him Lord, so how can he be his son?" Okay, and that comes from Psalm 110, where the Lord appoints a king, is what the heading of it is, a Psalm of David. This is one of David's Psalms. So David is saying this, and it goes, "The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right side until I put your enemies under your control. The Lord will enlarge your kingdom beyond Jerusalem, and you will rule over your enemies." That's Psalm 110. So they're confused by this, and they're thinking, well, how can David call his descendant Lord when descended from David? And of course, we have to understand that the problem that they're having here is they're not thinking about Jesus in the right fashion, about what Jesus is. They're thinking about Jesus as flesh and blood. They're looking at him as this human being standing in front of them. They do not understand that he is two things at the same time, which is one of those things that theologically is difficult for many people to deal with, and some can't deal with it at all and reject it entirely. And that is that theological concept that Jesus is fully man and fully God. That he is both at the same time. He is God incarnate, and he is fully human. He fully experiences humanness, and he is fully God, all at the same time. This is the miracle of Jesus and the incarnation of Jesus. So this is why they don't get it. They don't understand it. They don't yet realize, and some of them never do realize, what just exactly Jesus is. They're looking at him as being this person that's troubling them, and not really looking at him as God coming into the world to lay his grace upon them, and to witness to them to the love and the grace and the glory of God. And also to talk about, judgment and all of those things that we've talked about here recently. So it is, there is that heavy side. We don't want to, the stone that you break yourself upon and all of that. So we do want to remember that part. But what's confusing them here is they're just thinking about flesh and blood and not divinity. They're not thinking of that Jesus is divine. That is, in John's gospel, he pre-existed all that is here, all fleshiness. Jesus pre-existed, and through Jesus God created the world. That's all in John's gospel. It's not in Luke's. But in Mark's gospel, of course, you know that Jesus is promised by Isaiah. And Jesus, in Mark's gospel, we sometimes think that Jesus just pops onto the scene, at the baptism, but actually Mark talks about the promise of Isaiah. So he's backing it all the way up to that point. John takes it all the way back to the beginning, and that's what Jesus is really doing in this little bit of scripture that we looked at today, just 41, 42, 43, 44. Those 4 verses, he's hearkening back to the beginning, as they say. In the beginning was the Word. And so that is what's going on here. And of course, again, it's understandable. Ray Stevens' song aside, it's understandable they don't understand it yet. If we were to put ourselves in that position, would we have understood it? It's difficult enough for us here when we read the scriptures to really grasp that concept of fully human, fully God. And that's probably been one of the most common heresies of all time. So let's give them a little bit of a pass on this one. All right. So with that, we will come back tomorrow. That was a short one, and I apologize if you like the longer ones, but if you like the short ones, you got your desire today. Tomorrow we'll have another short one, and we'll end up chapter 20, and then we'll get started on chapter 21. All right. Make sure you have a very blessed day. Be careful, as they're saying there could be some snow this evening. I'm hoping the weatherman was wrong on that one. So have a wonderful day, and as always, be a blessing to someone today. Bye-bye.